Hi everybody and welcome. Thanks for joining me. Today's video is going to be slightly different because I'm going to show you some footage that I shot last year actually when we were a bit freer to go out. I'm going to show you a place called Scopwick in Lincolnshire. It's quite an ordinary village really, but it has a rather interesting churchyard. Now I don't frequent churchyards as a rule, but this one's quite interesting. There's a specific grave that I wanted to visit and I'll show you. Let's kind of have a look at the grave. It will come as no surprise that Scopwick, being in the centre of Bomber County, will have its fair share of war graves. It's one grave that I've come to look at in particular, and it's this one, the grave of John Gillespie Magee. He was a young Canadian Air Force fighter pilot, flew Spitfires, and he was sadly killed just 10 weeks into his active service. He's become best known for a poem. The poem is called High Flight, and it's said that he took his Spitfire to 30,000 feet and was so awe-inspired that by the time he landed he'd finished this poem. The poem is fairly well known and you may have heard it. It starts, "Oh, I have slipped the surly bonds of earth and danced the skies on laughter-silvered wings." It's a beautiful poem and I won't murder it, so I'll put a link below so that you can hear somebody reading it properly. Many people think that Magee was Canadian. That's not true. He had dual American and British nationality. His mother was English, his father was American. And in fact he spent time at rugby school where he won the school poetry prize. But it was while he was at Yale University in the States that war broke out. He wanted to do his bit. America wasn't yet in the war, so he signed up with the Royal Canadian Air Force. He did see active service, but it's ironic that he lost his life through a collision on a training exercise. So this is the final resting place of John Gillespie Magee, author of what is often known as the Pilot's Prayer. As we turn away from Magee's grave, we can see 5 tombstones standing alone at the far side of the cemetery. These are in fact the graves of 5 German airmen. Let me tell you their story. On the evening of the 15th of January 1943, Lincoln was the target of a Luftwaffe bombing raid. Fortunately for Lincoln, fabled German engineering wasn't up to scratch that night, and of the 6 bombs dropped, only 3 exploded. But they still killed 4 people, destroyed 25 houses and injured another 30 people. The pilot of the Dornier that night was Gunther Wolf. He turned to leave the scene, but he only made it as far as 6 miles south of Lincoln when he was intercepted by a Mosquito. The Mosquito fired, the Dornier fired back, did some damage to the Mosquito, but the Dornier had taken a fatal hit and it crashed close to Boothby Graphow. The crew were all instantly killed. And since that day, these young men from Dresden, Hamburg and Austria lie in this small country churchyard miles from home. That deals with 4 of the graves, but what about the 5th? This is an interesting one because look at the date. The war had long ended. So what's he doing here? Well, Walter was in fact a Luftwaffe pilot and he'd made a solo attack on Wellingore airfield and was shot down. He obviously survived and became a prisoner of war. I couldn't find out what happened to Walter and how he died, but Britain started repatriating German prisoners of war in September 1946. So it's a possibility that maybe he was injured when he bailed out of his aircraft and perhaps he died of his injuries, but whichever way, he never made it back to Germany.